Welcome to Revival. We'll start our discussion of respiratory medicine with pertinent respiratory physiology. The first thing that we'll discuss will be lung volumes and capacities. You're familiar with this graph from your physiology textbooks. That's the spirometer graph. The amount of air that a person breathes in and breathes out during quiet ventilation rest is tidal volume. Please notice that I use the word ventilation, not respiration. How is ventilation different from respiration? Ventilation is the physical movement of air into and out of the lungs. It is the act of breathing. Whereas respiration is the phenomenon of gas exchange both at the lung and at the tissue level. Coming back to lung volumes and capacities, we've discussed tidal volume. What is the amount of air that can be breathed in by a maximal inspiratory effort over and above tidal volume? Is inspiratory reserve volume, right? What is the amount of air that can be breathed in by a maximal inspiratory effort after tidal expiration? Tidal expiration ends here. An individual breathes in with a maximal inspiratory effort after tidal expiration. What is the amount that he breathes in? It's the sum of tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume. It is inspiratory capacity. How are lung volumes and capacities different from each other? The combination of two or more lung volumes makes a capacity. What's the amount of air residual in the lung after maximal expiration? This is a maximal inspiratory effort and this is a maximal expiratory effort. The amount of air residual in the lung after maximal expiratory effort is residual volume. It's the amount of air that the lung can never be emptied of. The amount of air that is always present in the lung, unless of course the lung collapses. What is the amount of air residual in the lung after tidal expiration? Now this is a tidal expiration. The amount of air residual in the lung after tidal expiration is functional residual capacity, a very, very important lung volume. Why? Because the functional residual capacity is also called the equilibrium state of the respiratory system. Why is that? What does that mean? What that means is, you'll remember from your physiology classes that the lung parenchyma and the chest wall have opposite elastic recoils. The pulmonary parenchyma left of its own tends to collapse inward. The chest wall left of its own tends to expand outward. This is illustrated best in practice, in clinical medicine, in real life, in patients with pneumothoraces. Now, we've all seen patients with pneumothoraces, or you've read about patients with pneumothoraces. What happens in a pneumothorax is that air enters the pleural cavity. This is the potential pleural cavity. Of course, for sake of understanding and illustration, I've drawn it as a huge space. Actually, it's just a potential space. So, air enters the pleural space. The lung therefore collapses completely inward. The chest wall springs outward. When you see patients with pneumothoraces, you will see that the lung wall, their chest wall has sprung more outward. So the functional residual capacity, coming back to what we were discussing the functional residual capacity, that is the lung volume at which these two opposite elastic recoils exactly balance each other. What that means is, bringing the lung back to functional residual capacity will always be a passive process. Changing lung volume from functional residual capacity will always be an active process. Let's discuss that further. We've read and we've been taught that inspiration is an active process and expiration is a passive process. Let's discover why that happens.